He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale.
Thank you.
Listen, I'll compromise with you. Is Donald Trump possibly getting prosecuted because they don't like him? Maybe. You think this is all a witch hunt. Maybe you don't understand the case because you think that the judge or the New York justice system valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million. It doesn't change the fact that he lied about the value of his assets, inflated the value of his assets.
This case has never been about politics or personal vendetta or about name calling.
The rule of law applies to all of us, equally, fairly, and justly. And former presidents are no exception.
This is New York Times, Thursday, July 16th, 1981. Post home for sale for $20 million. A portion of Mar-a-Lago, the Post estate in Palm Beach. 43 years ago, this house was for sale for $20 million. And then I said, this cannot be a real story. Then I went and typed New York Times to see if this article is still public. You can do this, folks. This is the article on NewYorkTimes.com with the date right there, if you can zoom in. Wow. July 16th, 1981, okay? And if you get the article, this is about the property of Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach being for sale. This is 1981. Wow. It took 4 years and $8 million to build Mar-a-Lago in 1927, folks. That's 100 years ago.
Oh, my
And this judge has convinced Americans that Mar-a-Lago is worth freaking $18 million. Do me a favor, go to Realtor.com if you can do that. Just go to Go to Realtor.com and type in Palm Beach. Go to Realtor.com and type in Palm Beach, Florida, if you can do that. Okay. And go to that first one. Go to the first one.
That's just land.
2.3 acres for $200 million.
Oh, my God.
You're paying $200 million for that land right now.
That's really nice grab.
That house is 2.27 acres.
Wow.
Okay, for $187 million. How many bedrooms is it? Go up a little bit to see how many rooms it is. Go up. 11 rooms. 177 rooms was the other one, just so you know, on 17.7 acres. So if we take purely this math, okay, go to the one previous and just do the land. So the other property is 18 acres. This is 2 acres. Let's just say 8 times, okay? 8 times $200 million with 0 property, just the land, $1.6 billion.
Wow.
With the land, with the pool, with the club, with all the inside the rooms, everything. Wow. Somebody who's reasonable could say, well, at least it's worth $1 billion. Maybe $750 million. And if you're able to buy it for $500 million, you got lucky. But the fact that somebody's selling 2 acres of land for $200 million and Letitia is able to convince that the place is only worth $18 million, do you realize how ludicrous and how funny this is? This is why people are leaving New York.
The Mar-a-Lago controversy of the pricing or the
inflated value of the house.
The Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. The judge ruled that it was worth $18 million. It's 20 acres in like the most expensive real estate in that area. Like a house down the street from it, much smaller. It's just sold for $50 million.
Wow.
Even if Forbes said it's worth somewhere between, see if what Forbes said. I think they said it was worth between $300 and $700 million. And they were saying that it's worth $18 million. It's like they don't even try to pretend.
Yeah.
Like
why does no one trust the mainstream?
If the guy says his house is worth $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
And then you come along and say, no, it's worth like $800 million. Forbes says it's worth as much as $700 million. We'll call it $700 million. Now you got a reasonable argument.
Yeah.
But if you say $18 million, like you got to know that's like a palace. The place is a palace. It's 20 acres. Get the fuck out of here. This is crazy. You can't do that. That's like too obvious. That you don't give a fuck about the truth.
New York Attorney General Letitia James bragging today about the multi-million-dollar penalty imposed on former President Donald Trump. Tweeting just the number. Her anti-Trump Twitter followers, of course, celebrating it, predictably clapping seals. A move that seems more like a campaign post than that of a dispassionate, just DA who just wants to get to the bottom of it.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets. We are prepared to make sure that the judgment is paid to New Yorkers. And yes, I look at 40 Wall Street each and every day.
This is basically communism here, seizing your assets for opposing the regime, isn't it, Robert?
That's exactly what it is. And in fact, you had Washington political consultants today putting out circulating reports at places like Predicted and others that this would also handicap Trump's ability to fund his own campaign. That this is an attempt not only to bankrupt a political opponent, but deny him campaign funds so that he can compete for the presidential election. We have never experienced anything like this in history. And that's what makes it so dangerous, that this can happen to anybody. If it can happen to Trump, then it's a guarantee it can happen to any ordinary person who just gets sideways with the government politicians in any location. They can seize all your assets. They can steal all your properties. They can deny you a right to appeal, even though you cause no injury to anybody anywhere. This is a classic version of an excessive fine in violation of the Eighth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
This is not a one-off. This is now legal precedent. I mean, Letitia James and the AG's office and this judge have now set precedent that is probably disturbing a lot of the New York real estate developers because they're wondering, do we need to go back over this? Right? Because at the end of the day, there were no victims. They had sophisticated banks who did their own due diligence on the claims of property value. He repaid it in full plus interest. There's nobody who was a victim here. And so now you have all these real estate developers who are looking at this and wondering if a Republican attorney general comes in, which is not going to happen anytime soon in New York, but maybe a Republican DA, someplace where they develop, are they now going to be vulnerable because of this precedent?
Yeah, we're very worried. Every investor's worried because where is the victim? Who lost money? This is some arbitrary decision a judge made. This policy and what this says, what does this say about the bar, the legal bar in New York? Aren't they going to question this judge? What is this? $355 million and there's dollars as a penalty and there's plus interest at 9% and there's no victim? I mean, I'm sorry, her words fall on deaf ears to everybody. There's nothing she can say to justify this decision. And this has nothing to do with Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. Forget about Trump. This is not a Trump situation. This is a New York problem now. The whole world is looking at this saying, what are you doing to yourselves?